In this brief video, I'm going to show you how to create a human skin shader using V-Ray FastSSS2 material. You don't necessarily need to watch this video. You can skip it if you are not interested. You should watch the FastSSS2 video before watching this video, as I won't be covering the fundamentals of that shader here. For this lesson, we have this 3D scan of a head, which is a free 3D scan from 1024.info, a V-Ray dome light with an HDRI image that is being applied to it. And if I open up the material editor, you notice we have 4 different HDRIs connected to an OSL switch shader that give us different lighting, and we can switch between them using this index value to see if the shader holds up in different lighting scenarios. This 3D scan comes with a few textures that will be used in the process, and you can find them in this head folder in the images folder of the project files. Let's run the IPR. I'm going to add a new FastSSS2 material and assign it to the head geometry. To get started, let's use this skin pink preset. For now, I'm going to set the specular amount to 0 to see what we're doing. Next, I'm going to change the scatter color to a more red hue with the RGB values of 123, 29, and 28. Now let's add a V-Ray bitmap node and load the head color texture. And this is going to be used for both the diffuse color and the SSS color or subsurface color, and we are in ACES, so let's change the RGB color space to sRGB. And to get all the details out of this texture, we can decrease the filter multiplier to 0.01, so the texture will come out sharp. And connect it to both diffuse color and subsurface color. A skin shader is mostly subsurface based and not diffuse based, so let's increase the diffuse amount to something like 0.2, 0.3 probably. We just need a bit of diffuse contribution to preserve some of that facial details. Now the next thing I want to adjust is the exact amount of scatter radius that I want for this model. Let's go a bit overboard and try something like 4 centimeters to see what we get. This is obviously way too much and makes it too translucent. Let's half the price and go for around 2 centimeters. And this looks much better. The next step is to add the normal mapping. Actually, most people add normal mapping before doing anything else, but let's add a V-Ray bitmap node and load this head_normal.jpg. And again, decrease the filter multiplier to 0.01. Connect it to the normal map input of a normal map node. And connect it to the bump input of the FastSSS2 material. We just need to select the V-Ray normal map node as well and flip the green channel. In most cases, when you load a normal map in 3ds Max, you need to kind of flip the green channel, so that's why we do that. To make the details more pronounced, I can increase the normal strength. Let's try something like 1.5 or 2, and I'll be using this kind of real zoom feature from time to time in the IPR to kind of zoom in and see what's going on. And this is one of the best features in V-Ray frame buffer. This real zoom is really amazing and useful, and I hope Arnold's also adds something like this. 1.5 should be enough for now. And now we have the specular reflections to deal with. I wish FastSSS2 shader had a coat reflection layer as well, like the V-Ray material. That would be amazing, but for now we just have a simple specular reflection layer. And obviously depending on the type of reflections that you want, if it's a dry face, if it's a wet face, if it's raining. So depending on that, you can obviously, work with your specular reflections. In this case, I'm just going for fairly dry skin that is just a tad maybe wet. So let's set the specular amount back to 1. And the specular color can remain at white. For the specular glossiness, load this image that is called head_spec. It's a specular color texture or reflection color texture, but as you know me, I like to keep the specular color at white and work with specular glossiness or roughness. Let's connect it to a color correction node. And connect the color correction node to the specular glossiness input. We can enable isolate selected mode in the IPR to see how each texture looks. In the color correction node, set its saturation to -100 to get us a fully black and white texture. I'm going to add an output map after the color correction. And now you can obviously work with these values depending on the type of reflection you want. If you want a dry face, obviously you want to have a darker map so the reflections become blurrier and rougher. And if you want the face to be less dry, you can obviously use a brighter texture that would kind of give us sharper reflections. And I'm just gonna make the dark values a bit brighter, maybe to around 0.21, so they won't cause very rough reflections, and decrease the bright values maybe to around 0.8 so we don't get very sharp reflections, as well as the face is not supposed to be that wet here. Now we can get out of the isolate mode. Down in the settings, let's turn on scatter GI for that extra bit of realism. And that's it really. It's fairly simple if you have a scanned model with, proper textures. Now we can go to the switch shader and try the other HDRIs to see if the shader holds up. Let's see this parking garage HDRI. Let's try this outdoor HDRI. Maybe we can decrease the scatter radius a bit, but that's enough for now. And finally, the workshop HDRI. It looks great. Now let's stop the IPR and take a look at the final renders from each HDRI. So in this video, we'll learn how to create skin shader in V-Ray for 3ds Max using V-Ray FastSSS2 material. See you in the next video.